When children come into a group, their primary social need, they have many needs of course, but their primary social need is to belong. Thank goodness most children in a classroom, not all, but most belong by being reasonably cooperative within their peer group. A percentage of students though, and we estimate between 10 to 20% of students, either don't believe or their experience has confirmed to them that they can't belong or choose not to belong by being cooperative, give and take, taking your turn, basic social courtesies and manners and so forth. And they get their sense of belonging by drawing attention to themselves. So effectively their behaviour is in a sense their goal. They're saying effectively through their behaviour, notice me. The young lad I showed you before, Ehud, who was repeatedly calling out. And even when I reminded him a very sulky response, I was only asking a question. All of that behaviour is him trying to draw attention to himself. And in a sense, that attentional behaviour is a way of compensating for his own perceived sense of inadequacy. Most students aren't like this, thank goodness. When we establish well with a class, the rest of the class will be generally supportive of the teacher's need to be appropriately and respectfully firmer with students like Ehud. For example, in this picture here I've got of a young lad called Shay. I was kneeling down working at his table group with my colleague in her early years class. And he could see I was working with two other students at the table. But he started to call out, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Rogers, I can't do the work. Mr. Rogers, can you help me? Mr. Rogers. It's not just that he needs help or wants help. That repeated calling out is a way of him getting attention. He's saying, notice me. In a sense, I'm more important than others. Now, partly that comes from insecurity, partly from habit, and partly from learned behaviour in a sense of getting his own way. I said to Shay, and I said, excuse me, to the two students I was working with at that point, Shay, when you've got your hand up, when's a really useful word, when you've got your hand up with that calling out, then I'll help you with your work. As I took my eyes off him to refocus to the students who I'd previously been working with, who'd had to put up with his calling out, again he sulked in his seat, frowned in his seat, and eventually he started to get back to work. That's when I walked around and said, let's have a look at your work together. I'm trying to teach him through, as the second teacher in the room, through the leadership. At that point, I'm trying to teach him how to get appropriate attention. But with persistent attentional behaviour like this, and like the young lad Ehud I mentioned before, we often need to go beyond the classroom to work with them one-to-one. And I'll talk more about that when we look at more challenging behaviour in the other question I think you wanted to raise later.